welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt, and thanks to my friends at Audi Milwaukee, I've been able to spend the day with the 2025 Audi RS6 Avant, and it is probably the best car in the world. Now, there have been a couple changes and updates since we last drove this car, but the truth is, I just selfishly really wanted to drive it again. So here's everything that you need to know about the 2025 Audi RS6 Avant performance. Let's get into it. Now, of course, even in a super wagon, there's some funky little odds and ends. Like we get soft closed doors, not just for the front, but also for the rear. Sweet. And we have our $5,000 Bang & Olufsen sound system. I mean, who doesn't love that? And it's going to be hard to see here in midday sunlight, but the surrounding halos around your seatbelt ports light up, so they're easier to find at night. And in typical fashion, you've got your drive select screens with comfort, auto, and dynamic, but you also have RS modes. You can select them here on your steering wheel button. They're customizable modes, so what I would personally do is set RS1 to like max chill, and then RS2 to max attack, max performance. It's nice to have this little shortcut button here for that. But with all those little things covered, let's zoom back out and talk about what this is and what it competes against. Now, this is kind of the definitive super wagon, and today it kind of stands alone as a little bit of a unicorn. There's the new M5 Touring from BMW. It's the first time they've brought the Touring to the States, but it's a plug-in hybrid, and it's quite a bit heavier than this, which is not necessarily something you'd want in something like a super wagon. The E63 AMG wagon, that's no longer in production. We haven't had that for a couple of years now, I believe. And the Porsche Panamera Turbo, that's kind of the closest near sibling, the cousin to this. So there's a little bit of competition, but this also stands out as maybe a little bit more old school and a little bit more simple. But this also being the 2025 means it's the performance. All RS6 Avants for 2025 come with the performance trim, and that's what we're going to talk about throughout this video. And that starts under the hood. We still have a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, but the performance here gets newer and bigger turbos and more boost, and that means 30 more horsepower and 37 more pound-feet of torque. So total net output is 621 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. If you're interested in things like fuel economy, it's going to get about 17-ish mpg depending on how you drive, but 0 to 60 is in the low 3 seconds, so it is proper quick and proper powerful now. I say now as if it wasn't before. And then that power goes from that 4-liter twin turbo V8 through an 8-speed automatic and then to Quattro all-wheel drive, as you'd expect. So let's talk a little bit more about how this drives. RS6 Avant. That's 4 liters of V8. I like that. I like that quite a bit. Oh, I really like this car. I really like this car. Now, there's a few things that we should cover. For 2025 and the performance trim, they've taken weight out of it. We talked about the weight that they saved at the wheels, 11 pounds on each corner if you go for these kind of Y-spoke wheels. They've also removed some sound deadening, so you can hear the exhaust a little bit better. The sport-tuned exhaust, it's got baffles and things like that. They've taken 18 pounds of like sound deadening and other stuff out of the car, so even if you don't go for this wheel, you're gonna have an RS6 that's been on a diet, which is pretty cool, which makes it under 5,000 pounds. Actually, pretty healthily under 5,000 pounds. Now, as you can imagine, power was never the problem with this car. Some people have a lot to say about how the engine is mounted in front of the front wheels, which doesn't necessarily lend to the best weight distribution, which is fair and is true, but they've done a lot to kind of account for that. Your center differential has been updated. You've got air suspension as standard here on this one. It is pretty stiff in this RS2 mode, this more advanced, not advanced, more aggressive mode, I should say, but you have rear steer to kind of help bring that back end around so you're not just getting front end push. The gear shifts are more aggressive. Overall, just feels like a more snappy, more athletic, more nimble, just kind of better car, better performance car. Ooh. Shit. It is worth mentioning though, when you go back into dynamic select and then select comfort mode, everything quiets back in a way that I just love. I'm like 31 years old, but my soul I think is 80, so I like the fact that this can just calm down when I'm just getting somewhere and I'm not wanting to drive hard or spirited or crazy, or if I'm just on the highway. Like, it can just calm down. The suspension gives you so much more travel, so the ride is so much more supple. The steering kind of hefts off a little bit. The gear shifts smooth out. You've got a 48-volt mild hybrid system, that's worth mentioning, so that smooths out gear changes and start-stop and all that sort of thing. And then it just becomes a really nice luxury Audi experience. The rear steer still works, so it still feels delicate and kind of nimble, I mean, for a big family wagon. But it just becomes a luxury product, and this is what I love about Audi, and even, you know, some of the other VAG group products, is just, they just relax and become nice cars. They're not constantly nudging you in the back and punching you in the ribs saying, I need to drive hard and I need to drive hard now. So, split personality, no one does it better than the Audi RS cars. But then slowing down and touching on styling, this has to be the best looking RS6 I've ever seen and definitely ever reviewed. The Ascari blue is new for 2025 on the RS6 and it is amazing. The metal flake that you get in midday sunlight is spectacular, and it's nice to see an RS6 not in Nardo gray or black. We do have digital matrix headlights up front, and you've got a brilliant balance of geometric and curved, modern, elegant design. This has been around for a while and it still looks the business. Now our tester here is equipped with the black optics, of course, and around the side we've got the upgraded 22-inch wheels rolling on Continental Sport Contact 7s, but these wheels, these 22 with the Y-spoke, they're new and they're lighter. They save 11 pounds at each corner, so 44 pounds total, and you can go for a carbon ceramic brake option. Personally, I'd probably skip it, but it is something that you could look into if you want. But zooming out, the profile is simple. It's not overstated. It is almost, I guess, a subtle kind of family wagon look if you don't see the enormous wheels and the huge exhausts out back. But the front shoulders and the rear hips are flared to signify that this is a little bit more special than your typical family wagon. And like we mentioned before, you've got the exaggerated diffuser out back, shrouding your enormous dual oval-shaped exhaust, typical of an Audi RS performance car. And I have to say, M5, GT63 four-door, Panamera, even the old E63, I think this is probably the best looking. And I absolutely have fallen for and am smitten by the Ascari blue on our tester. But something a little bit more practical and objective, we're going to talk cargo space, but I want to draw your attention to the privacy cover. It says Avant right there, and it is powered on a track. So when I go to open the trunk, it's going to slide back, and then when I close it, it's going to come back and keep things nice and hidden. It is, of course, a powered tailgate, and you do have buttons for close and lock on the gate, which is pretty nice. The space itself, you're looking at about 30 cubic feet of space, very long to the rear seats. They fold 40, 20, 40, and you've got plenty of toys back here. 12 volt, folding the seats from the trunk, grocery bag hangers, LED lighting, some pockets, some bins, some straps. You kind of technically have underfloor storage, but it's not really going to store anything. So overall, as you would imagine from an RS6 Avant, cargo practicality is pretty dang good. Okay, that's what I was talking about before. But we'll start to head up the cabin into our rear seats, and I just want to take a minute, probably more than a minute, to talk about the incredible materials that we have in here. Now we've got the blue interior package, so our carbon fiber has blue weave in it. We've got Alcantara all through the door cards with contrasted blue stitching, and then the seats themselves. The RS honeycomb pattern, we have diamonds for the S cars, but the RS cars get this kind of honeycomb. That's in blue. The seatbelt is blue, and I absolutely love this spec. I'll step in at 6'1", sitting more or less behind myself. I've got several inches of knee room with thoughtful little knee cutouts. I've got a map pocket here. I've got plenty of headroom. I've got my own sunroof back here, and I've got 4-zone climate control with heated rear seats. I've also got, if I want, a center armrest with some cup holders and some additional storage. So overall, I mean, there's no way you could say this isn't a practical family vehicle, my wife. And then moving even further up the car, of course, we're going to talk about the front seats, the same incredible materials, blue weave carbon, Alcantara, memory seats 1 and 2, and then the seats themselves, same kind of honeycomb with the blue stitch, blue inner perforations, and RS stitched into the seats. They're heated, they're cooled, no massage for our tester here, but really natural seating position. The bolsters feel great, the leather quality is fantastic, the seat can get nice and low, so I definitely feel like I'm one with the cabin and one with the car, a little more than I would be. The steering wheel is huge diameter, completely wrapped in Alcantara, and has a blue inner rim stitch, and it is just an experience to sit here in the cockpit of the RS6 Avant. Then we'll touch on the overarching cabin experience pretty briefly because I've kind of covered the main event, which is just the incredible material, like the feeling of quality, the impression of quality that you get in the cabin of this RS6 is certainly unmatched by the M5, by the GT63 four-door. I haven't spent much time in the Panamera Turbo, so I can't really speak on that. But the black leather with the blue piping and the stitching and the perforations is spectacular. The Alcantara Alcantara all across the door cards and on the steering wheel, that blue weave carbon fiber. It just goes so far to feel so much more unique than so many of the other Audis that we've been in. So many of the Audis that we've tested are black on black, maybe with a subtle red stitch, but this certainly feels a little bit more special. It also, like I mentioned, feels really well put together. There's no squeaks, there's no rattles. It just feels like a well-built piece of quality. There is a little bit of gloss black. No matter how much money you spend, you're not going to get rid of that gloss black across the dash and into your center console, but overall, it's hard not to love sitting in the RS6. And when it comes to technology here, Audi kind of gives you everything that you need without packing it full of way too many frills and crazy unnecessary things. Like the BMW has the Air Console games where you can play games from your phone onto your screen. You don't have that, but you have everything you need. You have a head-up display, shows me everything that I want to see. You've got your virtual cockpit. You still have the full kind of view with the Google Maps integration and that sort of thing. Black levels are fantastic. It's all typical Audi stuff, which is to say very, very good. You also can, I should mention, you can get night vision, which is just kind of cool, and also highlights pedestrians that are on the road. Our tester doesn't have it, but it is worth mentioning. Also, I don't think I mentioned our tester does not have the massage seats, but you can get that. And then over here, your center kind of stack of technology here, it's split into two screens as it has been. It's very familiar to the Audi experience. The lower one is for your climate and your comfort things, your heated and cooled seat, fan, and that sort of thing. And then this is going to give you all of your information display. This is going to get your wireless Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, your throw it into reverse, 360 cameras, even with the little bird's eye view, classic. And of course you can get like built-in internet if you want to do things like check the weather or get more from Alexa, which is kind of built in and that sort of thing. So tech stack gives you everything you need, nothing you don't. It's pretty good. And the last thing that we'll talk about before we go for a bit of a drive and give our final thoughts is the price. Now for 2025, the RS6 starts at $126,000. The brother RS7 starts at $128,600 for 2025. But ours tested here with the Ascari Blue and all of the stuff is just about $150,000. And that's a lot of money, but you also get one of the coolest cars on the road. So let's go for a bit of a drive. Hey guys, real quick, Matt here. Just wanted to say I hope you've been enjoying the video. If you have, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it does go a long way in helping us get access to cars sooner and get access to manufacturer engineers so we can get more information on the cars and get you more information so you can make better decisions. So would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe, like, comment, the whole YouTube thing. But with that, let's get back to the video. It's like a freight train. Those shifts are more aggressive for sure this year. All right, I'm gonna settle it down so I can talk to you guys because we've talked about performance-y stuff. It's fast, it's super powerful, and it handles itself pretty well. The rear steer, the sport diff, all the stuff works really pretty well. The air suspension, I like it. I like that they've taken 44 pounds of unsprung weight off the car. That's cool. It certainly feels more nimble, more agile, and more like a sports car. But I wouldn't buy this thing if you want a sports car. If you want a sports car, you want something small, light, 2 seats, maybe 2+2. This is the perfect do-everything car. I'm gonna wait until I can drive again, so I'm not just sitting behind a Subaru at a light for you guys. It just does everything. Like, I'm in comfort mode now, the exhaust is shut, the gears, everything smooths out, and it's just a nice luxury car. I've got plenty of space in the back for 6-footers. I've got an enormous trunk, and the ride is like legitimately nice. And it just does everything. And that's why you go onto the used market, and this thing's cousin, the RS7, which is the like mechanical twin, everything is the same basically, except for the roofline and the trunk. Those depreciate at like twice the rate. Like, you can get a used RS7 for tens of thousands of dollars less than a used RS6. These hold their value incredibly well because they are desirable. They're so desirable even still here today. They haven't updated this thing in a crazy way for a very long time, and yet people still flock to these cars. I think ultimately in a world of EVs and plug-in hybrids and, you know, all this stuff going on, this feels a little bit last gen in like a very endearing way. Sure, it still has a mild hybrid system, but it's not something you're really gonna notice too much. And it's not something that's gonna overstrain the car, add hundreds of pounds to it. It's relatively light, it handles well, it makes good noise, And I think and it looks great too, especially in this Ascari blue. This is the exact spec that I would order my RS6 if I was going to. I've seen everyone around me has a Nardo gray RS6, and yeah, they look cool, but then you have the same RS6 as everyone else. So now your unicorn is kind of missing its horn. Now it's just kind of a horse. So to have the Ascari blue, I think would be the ticket. I do feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I still think, you know, I maintain, even after 3, 4, 5, however many years this car's been out, I've driven this car 3, 4 times, and it still remains to be a special experience. It still remains to be RS6 shoot day is a day that I look forward to, because it's just cool. It's fun. It's built incredibly well. It's just a good product. They haven't changed it because they don't need to. So with that, before I ramble some more, thank you to Audi Milwaukee for letting me have a go. Thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.